Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, family.
How's everybody doing? It is Thursday, y'all. The week is almost over. The weekend is coming. I think it's going to be beautiful this weekend. I'm excited because I need a break because I'm tired. How y'all doing?
Good. Good. I feel the
Well,
same. Waiting on this
good.
summer.
All right, got a couple people on. Let's see who's on. Give me a second. So, for those who are on, if you are on, go ahead and like and share the show this evening and put something in the comments so that we know that you're there because we want to have a real conversation. As you all can see, there's a few extra boxes in the square tonight. We got some guests that we are really excited about. So, if you are on, please go ahead, put something in the comments so that we know that you're there. Hey, Nicole, she is always faithful. Thank you for being on. Hi, Shantae. Hey, girl. Hey, thanks for being on. Make sure that you're liking the show. Make sure that you're sharing the show. We're going to have a real good conversation tonight. Still sunning out, so I'm still say tonight though because it's after 7. So we are going to have some good conversation. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be informative. But we got some special guests on the show. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and let's start with introductions with our regular hosts, please, today.
Hey, I'm Shanita Walker.
Hey, I'm Kiana Kirkland.
I am Dina Jefferson.
And I'm Victoria Patton.
And we have got Ashley. Hey, Ashley, what's up, girl? Your boo's on. I know you're going to be on. So like and share so your family and friends can be on the show. We've got 3 special guests. We've got some men on the show this evening, and we're going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves before we start this conversation. You know, as last week we had a conversation, relationships. It's 2 sides of the same coin. And so you got our perspective last week as coming from women, but we wanted to have that conversation with some of our men. And so you're going to hear some of their perspective, things that they go through or have gone through in this world of relationships. So we'll go ahead and start with Aaron, then we'll go with Corin, and then Brandon.
Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Aaron King. I'm 32 years old. I have been married for 5 years this year, and I am a father of 2.
Hey, how you doing, everyone? My name is Corwin Johnson. I'm 48. I've been married for 13 years. Thank you all for having me on the show today. I go to True Light International with these lovely ladies of word of mouth.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Wesby. I'm 33 years old. I've been married for going on 2 years. Been with my wife for 10 years total. I'm a father of 2 of 1 right now. I'll leave it at that.
Well, Brandon just told on himself.
I was just about to say, he's
You know, see, what happened is I'm so used to adding my sister in.
Okay.
That it just becomes natural, honestly.
Okay, we'll give you that one.
Okay.
We're going to get you in the comments, I'm sure.
I don't know, Dina. I think I hear the voice of the Lord.
I do too.
So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Victoria. And again, all those who are on, go ahead and like and share tonight's show. Hey, Anna, how are you? And Nicole said, hey, I'm glad I joined, especially because I'm in a relationship right now and thinking of marriage. So perfect. And share with your friends that are also in that same situation. Shantae is laughing at y'all, and I agree because it's hysterical. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Victoria with our first question for our gentlemen.
Alrighty. So the first question of the night is, how were you told? So let me give a little bit of preface to this question. So men and women were once boys and girls, and our parents or our guardians, whoever it is that has raised us, for the most part, they told you how to function in a relationship. If you're a girl, don't do this, do this. If you're a man or a boy, don't do this, do this. So we want to kind of get into, hey, Sister Pam, we want to kind of get into what were you told, or how were you told that you should treat the person that you're dating?
Well, I'll say that, it's really not a manuscript. of what, growing up. In some households, they don't tell you how to date, or say what you do when you get a woman. But if you have a mother, the first thing that I believe that a man wants to do is have respect. I think that's something that women should look for from a man, is just respect, starting off dating and everything.
So for me, I want to say with the general part of it, like you said, the norms, making sure you hold the door open, just being a gentleman. But I would say honestly wasn't really showed, told. It was more showed. And so for me, those were things that I learned. And then on the other side, to be honest, the other side was that I wanted to be the man that I knew, like, sometimes my mom wanted, or some of the traits that she looked for in a man. So really just the man that I thought that my mom would be happy with, and I figured if she was happy with it, it should work for a woman, any other woman too.
I would say, thinking back on it, like I never had like a formal lesson in like how to date, or like what you should do while dating. But I think like the things that I observed were like, one of the things were like to always be respectful, like Corin was saying, and then also just like being helpful, like like always help a woman with her bags, or like just that type of that type of aspect.
So you guys said something, when we talked about this a little bit last week. You said something along the lines of what you were shown instead of what you were told. And we kind of said something similar last week, where oftentimes, at least my experience was, is that it wasn't that my parents sat down and said, this is how you should be treated, and it was like a manual, but it was more so along the lines of, this is how I treat your mother, or this is how I treat you, and this is how you should expect to be treated. And I think that's a big deal, because some people don't have that, and it reflects in how they allow people to treat them, and also how they treat people.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I agree.
No, I totally agree with that too. Just to recap about what we discussed, just like what the gentlemen were discussing, mine was more by demonstration. And so my dad was the one that had taught me, and he was my first date initially, on how a young man is supposed to treat you, the things that he's supposed to do when he comes to meet you. He's supposed to meet both the parents. And so those were some of the things. And the things that you all touched on was vitally important that my dad also demonstrated, was that level of respect. And so when you set that foundation of respect, there's this place now where it's almost like it keeps you safe, and especially for young ladies, because it teaches you how to know your worth and your value, and not to be used upon. So I definitely do like that the gentleman did express that, because a lot of times young ladies don't know this. And then what does it mean or what is it that shows respect from men?
And then one thing I would say is, I noticed that me and my wife, we parent like differently, I would say, than like our parents did. Like we are very like hands-on. So it's like now, Caden's, about to be a teenager. He's interested in girls. So it's like we have like real open, honest conversations with him. Like, hey, you should be doing this. You shouldn't do that. So it's like, I feel like me and my wife are going like in depth on like what you should do or shouldn't do.
That's nice that you say that, because you got the boy, I got the girl. And so having the girl, I think we do the same thing as far as the way that we parent from what we were used to. So, I'm very careful on making sure that I actually allow her to see us be affectionate, in this, to let her know, like, I love your mom, and at the same time, just being very careful on even our conversations, because that was one thing me and my wife came from, were households that you know, when they disagreed, there was always a lot of arguing and fighting and, you know, right in the house. So for us, that was one thing we were strong on was, you know, if we have any disagreement, it's okay for us to have it as a married couple, but you know, our kids should never have to, you know, see that that's between me and you. So if we got to go downstairs to have this conversation or even step out so that she doesn't have to have that experience. That's the experience that I didn't want her to have. I'd rather her later down the line come and ask us, how did we get through those? And then she find out that we wasn't perfect, rather than, you know, giving those experiences to her early.
I mean, you know, in a lot of instances too, a lot of us didn't have fathers. You know, a lot of men didn't have fathers to watch, you know, as far as how to treat a woman. And so like Aaron and Brandon, you know, now myself, you know, I went through some phases in life myself where I have an older son, he's 25, and like, you know, these guys saying, you know, I talk to him a lot as far as being a man. And I've been talking to him for a long time because my father talked to me. And so that's something that I learned from my father, to pass some things down, because as men, sometimes we just don't get certain things. And so we get things from who we're around. So we'll get things from the streets. So we'll get things from people who we grow up with, who we idolize, whether it's a cousin, you know, an older brother, or, you know, a friend or somebody that's out there on the streets, but they not doing well. But them the type of attributes and them the type of habits that we pick up. And so therefore we carry them along, you know, along the way with us. And so like myself, it took me a long time to become the man that I am now. And I'm just going to be honest with that. You know, it wasn't easy. You know, it didn't come overnight, but over time, you know, I grew up and I learned how to be a man.
True that.
I want to jump in there because I think you said something very, very interesting. You said, as men, we just don't get certain things. And I feel like society has these roles created for us, these kind of boxed in ideas of how men should be and how women should be and what we should do and what we should say and how we should operate. And so there's kind of some double standards there. So I want to ask, what are some of the double standards that you have seen or experienced personally?
I would say, you know, it depends on, you know, your definition of double standards. I mean, if it's, you know, because in certain terminologies, in some places where you will hear people talking, they will say, well, men can do this, but if a woman go out here and do that, she's considered this, but a man can go out here and do this and that. But, you know, in the same instance, you know, I've been thinking about this question myself. A man is going to do anything that a woman allows him to do. And so if we're looking at a double standard as far as you can do this, but if I go out here and do this, then you get mad. Well, what is the double standard? If he's doing this to you, then evidently you're accepting it. And so that's up to you. You don't have to accept nothing that you don't want to accept. And so therefore a man is going to do whatever a woman allows him to do. And he will continue doing it as long as she let him.
So we just spitting fire this evening. Okay. I'm waiting to hear the rest of it. Who up next? Go for it.
So I guess I got like part A, part B. So like double standards like that I see like out in society when I'm like, you know, just looking out, seeing what I see in the world. Money is a big double standard. Like for some reason, you know, money is always, you know, the big thing, or, you know, I'm the breadwinner, or, you know, or not the breadwinner. So I think that's a big double standard that I see in society, that the man should be the breadwinner, or, you know, have the most money in the relationship. But sometimes that's just not the case. You know what I mean? And that's no slight to that man, you know, that woman has this opportunity, you know, to make more money. So which leads me into like part B of like double standards that I think that we've broken through in my household, because it's like it doesn't really exist. We more so go off of the plan of what's best for the family. So for instance, a double standard is usually, you know, the woman should be making all the meals, right? So back when, before COVID, I would have to, you know, go into work every day, you know, so when I came home, naturally, you know, Shantae would make dinner. But now, you know, I work from home. So she's at work all day. So if it's easier for me to take out some meat and do something on my lunch break where it's going to be beneficial to, you know, everybody's evening to have more time, that's what we're going to do, because that's what's best. It's not more so of getting caught in that role where, you know, well, I ain't going to cook. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's another double standard that I feel like we just don't really feed into.
That's definitely one of them for sure. I've been in that situation, especially on the side with the money side. You know, I think that's one of the hugest double standards for us. And I do think that, you know, it piggybacks off of what Carmen said with, you know, what we allow. Because even us as men, we allow people to put a standard on us and say, all right, because we're not making the money, we should think less of ourselves. But I thought about this question, and I was really trying to think like, what's a double standard for me? I wanted it to be more personal. And so I thought about this one, being a married man, and I think a double standard for me was that when reinsurance. And so what I mean by that is where if a woman wants to be reinsured, that, you know, they look nice and that they're, they're still important, but sometimes when men, you know, look for that reinsurance, they assume that now we soft, you know. But at the same time, I would say to any woman that's trying to keep a man, and especially for him to be faithful, we need some reinsurance too. You know, like when I was in high school and college, everybody was telling me I was the man, but now I'm just yours. So I need to still hear it, because I'm not hearing those things anymore, and I'm getting older, and the dead body's coming. Like, you know, so I need a little reinsurance that I still got it too, because I'm telling you, just like for you all, you know, telling me I look nice today on my way to work, you know, that's you the only person I really needed to hear it from. You know, so I think that reinsurance too, and, you know, just getting rid of the standard that men don't want to feel good or look good, or that we too tough to, you know, to hear nice things too. Like we want it too.
That's a good one.
So we got some comments before we go back to what Brandon says, because I want to come to that. We've got Sister Love in the building. Hey, Sister Love. EJ is on the line. Hey, EJ. Chloe said yes. Hey, Chloe, she's on the line. Shantae said, come on, Corbin. Sometimes we teach people how to treat and love us by what we allow. Now, we got a question. This is from Ari. Ari said, that is that a reflection of what that woman allows to happen, or that man's lack of integrity because he chooses to push the limit as far as he can? So I'm gonna pose that question in just a second. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pose it now. What do you guys think?
It's a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if a man is out there, you dating a guy, and he's cheated on you several times, and you taking him back every time that he's cheated on you, then that's on you. But then it becomes a point where it's the integrity of the man, because we don't know any better. Because as a man coming up, you know, we look at it as an ego thing, and, you know, we try to get as many women as we can or whatever. And we got you over here because we know that you're going to keep taking me back regardless of what I do. But the integrity of the man, because I don't know myself, because I'm not grown up yet. You know, it's the scripture that talks about when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I reasoned as a child. But when I became grown, I put childish things away. And so sometimes in life, as integrity, we haven't put childish things away. I don't care how old you are.
It's hard to come back after that. I think he spoke for me on that one. He got it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Corey, go ahead, big dog.
No, man. Come on, man. Come on.
It's for real though, and I think it's but even then, just to piggyback off of it, I do think that it starts with the lack of integrity one from a male. Again, because we are what we see, and it depends on what situations you've been in. Because I knew wrong from right, you know. And again, through this, I'll just be honest and kind of speak on myself, you know. So there were times back then where if I could get away with it, I was willing to try it, you know. But I mean, I think that's almost human nature, and a little bit of everything. I think it's just, now that we're talking about relationships, you know, it's a little different. But I mean, if you can get away with it, sometimes you'll try it until, and I look into my own relationship, until that man decides that he like truly cares about that person, that person's heart. Like, okay, I don't want to see this person hurting like this anymore. Once you put them through it, if they willing to keep going after they didn't hurt you once and they seen it hurt twice, 3 times, you might want to run the other way. And that's coming from men, like telling you, if he gonna keep doing you like that, because a real man don't want to see a woman he care about hurt like that. Now, one time he got away and then he got caught. Okay, he got caught. He ain't think he was going. We never think we're gonna get caught till we caught. But after he's still going crazy with it, you might want to run the other way, because he don't care about you and his integrity. He doesn't probably hold any integrity when it comes to his relationship with you.
I'm not to cut you off, B, but hold up. I'm listening to what you saying. But if a man don't love himself, he can't love you. I can tell you I love you. I can tell you a lot of things, but that don't mean that it's true. If I got 2-3 girlfriends, 2-3 women, I don't love neither one of y'all, because I'm not loving myself. Until I learn how to love myself and learn who I am, I can't give you anything, but I can give you some story tales. I can make believe that this is true or that's true, but that don't mean that it is, though. And so I think sometimes men and women get caught in that trap, thinking somebody love them when they really don't. And a lot of times, you know, when that person don't love you, but you continue to deal with what they bring to the table, like the brother was talking about. You know, some bring money to the table, and so you will stay in a relationship, get beat up, get whooped on because he can buy you a dooney, or because he can buy you a expensive purse, or you can wear some expensive eyeglasses, or he paying your rent, or he paying your car note. But do that really mean that he loved you? You know, like, I'm gonna piggyback on Aaron. I'm gonna leave it alone after this. If I got the money coming in, but something happens to me, and that money ain't coming in no more, how much you gonna love me now?
I'm about to log off. This is too much. Too much.
No, and we've talked about this, and you guys hit on some really good points, especially that loving yourself, because from a woman's perspective, we've talked about this on the show quite a bit. You have to love yourself first. And if you don't love yourself, then you don't know what's good and what's not good when it comes to how you're being treated. Because as I think it was Shantae said, you teach people how to treat you, but if you don't know how you want to be treated or how you should be treated, then you teaching wrong lessons. You're going around telling people 2 + 2 is 5 when it's really 4. And so you have to be able to have those conversations. You have to start with the conversation with self to say, who am I? What do I deserve? Why do I accept certain things? And sometimes that requires not being in a relationship until you really fully and honestly understand and know who you are.
I want to comment also too, and this is really, really good, guys. But Corwin made the statement about not loving yourself. And I just want to throw this out there, gentlemen. You can talk on this. Do you think that it is because we learn what love is based off what we've seen love to be? Meaning, exactly what Corwin put out there, if I'm a kid and my mother and father, they go at it, and like you say, he black our eye, but he keep the bills paid. As a kid coming up in that, that's love, because, you know, they've been together, you know, 15 years or whatever the case may be. And so when you get ready to enter that world of relationship, love kind of sort of looks like that until you know better. Do you think that these experiences help us shape love, and that takes time when you get into adult relationships? Because again, you don't know how to love, or like Brandon pointed out, you know, if all he did was pay bills and that's it, and my mother never had to affirm him, I don't really know that I should give him compliments or rub him on his back or, you know, whatever, that's tell him he look nice, because that I love like I've seen. Am I making any sense? Do you all think that that plays a part in the relationship process? And this is why sometimes we get the short end of the stick in relationships, because we really don't know how to love as of yet.
I think you absolutely right. I think the concept of love is distorted from person to person based on the personal experiences you've grown up with. So let's say, you know, everybody's experience gonna be different. Somebody that comes from a loving household, family of four, bills are always paid, parents always step out the house to argue, you're gonna have a way different perception of love than somebody who stayed in the hood, bills barely getting paid, food not on the table, parents constantly arguing, one parent constantly leaving out the house for weeks at a time. You're going to have a completely different view of what love should be and what it looks like. And so we grow up, you know, with these jaded experiences, you know, thinking, you know, what it should be or shouldn't be. But like Corwin said, only time and growth can develop that, because you basically you have a template up until the point where you're at least about 22 to 23. Then you have to unlearn all of the things that you thought were right that are actually wrong. You have to unlearn that stuff, fall on your face, fail, and then be like, oh, so yeah, that was all wrong, and this is actually what love looks like. And you know, that's just time, experience, failure, success, you know. So yeah, that I would say that's my opinion on it.
I think for me, it just brought me back to a relationship with my dad. For a very long time, I used to just sometimes I couldn't stand him because of the way that I saw him, you know, treat my mom, in my opinion. And it was just the arguing and things. And I was just like, you know, I can't stand it. Like, you know, but it wasn't until I grew up and I started having those conversations. And then he told me like, hey, I was just doing the best I knew. Like that my intentions was pure. And it was crazy to hear it, because from my eyes, it didn't look pure. But from his eyes, there wasn't a father involved. He had a dad, but he wasn't in the house. So, you know, he looked at it and he said, well, Brandon, I paid all the bills. I made sure you all never really wanted for anything. It was, you know, lights were never off. Food was there. I did my part. You know, maybe I didn't do these things. So there was for me to say that, I think that was, for me, it was generational. Okay, now I'm willing to do the next step. So now I want to be here. I wanted to see these things and, you know, show a different perspective. But we grow from each experience in our life too.
To what Shanita was saying, you know, I think sometimes too that in families, like you may see your mother and father, they may be in a marriage for 30, 45 years. Okay. Then you get in a relationship or you get married and you're expecting the same things that your mother and father did. But there's two different relationships, because he's not your daddy and she's not your mother. And so sometimes we let that intertwine, because a man a lot of times is looking for his mama, because mama do everything. Mama cook, mama clean, mama went to the grocery store. And so when you get a wife and she don't do that type of stuff, you got a problem with that. Or Daddy paid the bills, daddy did this, and you not doing that. She looking at you upside your head like something wrong with you. So we try to compare our family relationships to our relationship, but it's not the same though. It's different dynamics that's involved, you know. So your daddy might have had a better job than I did. What can I say?
I think it's important to not compare, because you don't want to offend the person that you're trying to build something with, that you're trying to grow with. But I gotta stay here just one more question, because this is this is interesting, because love and forgiveness are two separate entities, but they hold hands on a lot of stuff. So, you know, we're all believers. We all attend True Light International Ministries too, under the leadership of Pastor Scott Jefferson III. 257 North Pine Avenue. No, just kidding. Kiana's going to do that at the end, but I just wanted to.
So you got it already. Go ahead.
No, but so we're all believers, and we believe in loving people, right? We're not talking about abuse and all of that, but I think sometimes where I see believers struggle is it's not really black and white, like how we're saying. It's not as easy as how we're saying it, right? Like, oh, he cheated on you, just let him go. Well, you know, sometimes people are married, sometimes people are in love, some people are trying to work. So you talked about the man or a person not loving or knowing themselves. So how long do you stay, whether it's the woman or the man, who is struggling with their identity? Because that's what it is. I don't know me. I'm trying to figure it out. But do they deserve the grace to stick with them till they get it? Or is it no, I'm sorry. I can't be with you while you figure that out. So where's the line? How long do you stick around as people find their identity?
I'll have a question now. Is this about marriage, or this just about just a relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend? Or can we intertwine the two?
I think we could intertwine the two. What do you think?
So I would say, in general, I would say, right, people are growing. How long do you decide to stay or go? I feel like the underlying factor would be like that person has to like have golden nuggets like here and there. Like you still have to be putting work in. You still have to be showing like I'm worthy at least of a second chance, because I've proven that I'm actually a really good person. Or, you know, you definitely have that potential. I think you know the difference between someone who has potential, acted on that potential, and someone who just has a lack thereof and doesn't care at all. So for a person who is lack thereof and doesn't care at all and repeatedly makes mistakes in a very bad way, I feel like that's when you have to say like, okay, this isn't a good idea for me, because my future can be impacted by, you know, the way that this person acts. However, if you have a person who, you know, has shown and proven, you've been through things with this person, they've shown that they're going to be there for you, they've shown you in many ways that they love you and they care about you, and, you know, they happen to mess up or they happen to fall short in some areas, I feel like it's a certain level that you can prove like I'm worthy of being taken to the next level, because that's all. Anybody who's made it to the next level has been that person who hasn't been at the next level. You know what I'm saying? So, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep. You can go, B.
Oh man, I was sitting there thinking about this question, and so, you know, again, I told you I can only use myself as an example. I can't really. My experiences is my life tools, and so being a man, and I'm sure women have dealt with this. Being a man, I can honestly say I never had to forgive when it came to. I chose not to forgive when it came to certain things on the man side. Like I don't know why, but when there was a situation that I saw that I didn't like, I was out of there. I was one that just really believed there was more fish in the sea. Like, all right, this ain't the one. Keep it moving. But on the other side of it, when it was my turn to be forgiven, that's when I really seen it. It was crazy because I didn't see it to my wife, honestly. So I never had to be in a situation after that, because it was my wife that gave me the experience on the other end, where I did something wrong when we were dating. So my girlfriend, so she could have left. And I just, young, I want to talk to a couple other people and see what this about too, and dip in and dip out. And it was the time again for me when I'll never forget when she looked at me, and again with tears in her eyes, and she told me I had potential. And I was like, okay, this the one. Because one, she forgave me only like my mom forgave me. That was the first thing. It was one where I could see the disappointment, but I could see like I still love you. And that was when it was real for me. And that's when I wanted to change for somebody else. But I really can't answer that question other than my experience of saying wherever she saw, it had to be some type of potential of me being a good person or down the line, but that's the only thing I could think of for people. If you is seeing potential, if you don't see it, again, I'm sure it's enough red flags out there for you. But if you see it, I would say hold on for a second, because again, as men, we learn it through experiences. So we trying to figure it out too. We're trying to figure it out, and and as men, I think it's even harder for us because they've created this narrative where we can be players. We can have more than one. It's okay, especially when that's your crowd. So 90% of my friends at this time, we all out, to see how many we can get and who all we could talk to and do these things. So it's difficult, but I think through time, if you see that potential in a person through time, then that's where you see the growth to say, all right, I'm willing to stick this through. But I do think there are some things that, you shouldn't.
To answer Victoria's question, I hear B2. He said a lot. Sometimes how much can you take? How much are you willing to allow? That's just me. Like Brandon was saying, he talked about his own experiences, and I hope everybody know that basically I've been talking about my experiences. I'm 48, okay, and I met my wife in 1992. We didn't get married to 2009, okay, so it was an off and on thing, here and there. I did a lot of things. I had kids. I was just being me. Didn't know no better, whatever. She asked me a question one time. Once we got married, she asked me a question. We went out to eat on our anniversary or something. And she said, if we would have got married a long time ago, she said, where you think we would have been now? I said, we would have been divorced, because I didn't have the mental. I didn't have that mind state. I admire Brandon and his wife, Aaron and his wife, Victoria and Bo, Kiana and Deshaun, that got married at an early age, doing things the right way. I did not have that type of mindset, period. But it wasn't until I came back, my wife took me, she took me back, and this was the final straw. She said, this was her final straw, Victoria. She said, either we gonna do this or we not. And I had to make up my mind, and that's when we started coming to True Light, and we started seeing marriage, people that's married, like Pat and them, and we were seeing Pastor and Sister Jefferson, and we were seeing Mike and all these, people that was living right. And she said, either we gonna do it or we not. And that's when I grew up and became a man. But it took a long time. So sometimes it's not easy. It's about what you can take and what you gonna take in this relationship. How long you gonna put up with it? And I thank God to this day that she waited on me for 14, 15, 16, however many years it was, that she waited on me, because that's the best thing that happened to me in my life.
See, I hear all of y'all, and I agree with it. And something Corin said, just it reminded me. I'm the same. I've not been married. I'm not saying my age, but I know had I gotten or married earlier, it would not have lasted because I didn't know who I was. And had I gone into a marriage not knowing who I was, it would have cultivated who I was instead of me walking in as a whole individual. But I think sometimes, and we have to be very careful when it comes to potential, because sometimes we see potential in people that they will never see in themselves. I think you have to see, if you see the potential, that's good. But if they don't have an inkling of that potential, that's when it can be a problem. They have to, at some way, and I think Aaron said it, they have to be trying. They have to be moving towards. So when you see that potential, it's actual potential in motion. If you see that potential in that individual, but they don't see it, it doesn't matter, because the person who has the potential has to recognize that potential and then move into using it and cultivating it and growing the potential into a reality.
That's it right there. Definitely when you said they have to see it, because again, long term, I did see myself. I wanted to be somebody's husband. Didn't know when, but I wanted to be somebody's husband. And so that you hit it right there. I think that was the piece that I was trying to find. Like where is that potential coming from? And I think that's the, like you know in the back of your head that person knows what they want to do with themselves, at least a little bit.
Absolutely. Sister Love said, love hearing the men perspective. We're going to have men on more often. They have to want to. Yeah, that's big. I want to kind of go back just a little bit, which is it ties in with one of our questions. One of the things that you all said about red flags. All right. So we're talking about relationships, but it may be with a friendship, or it may be with a significant other. What are some red flags that we have women on here? So women have displayed that caused you, and I guess this is kind of specific to significant other relationships. So what are some red flags that women have displayed that cause you to halt your pursuit? It's a no-go. Yeah, I'm good.
Ladies, get your pens out now.
You're ready to say that. Listen closely.
So I got two off here. I think my first no-go, just coming from that generation of social media. So I think when I was in eighth grade, I think that's when Black Planet came out. So I got to like witness all of them. And so social media, that's my first one. You know, how you want to be seen, because social media is really just about how you want to be seen. So if you can be pretty much whoever you want to be. And on top of being who you want to be, if you choose to be this person, out of all the things you could be, this is what you want to look like on social media. For me, that can be a red flag. I don't want to hear that's not who I am. This is not real. Yeah, but this is first appearance now. This is the new generation of how we move. If this is how you want to operate on social media, for me, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. So, you know, I take that serious. You know, not saying you got to do everything in a joke. You know, go ahead and have fun on it. But I'm just looking at, you know, the way that you carry yourself. And then another one would probably be for me is just how you treat your family and friends. I think that was big for me. It lets me know. So if you got one friend and none of your family members love you, it's a red flag for me. So that's my two.
Before the other brothers go, I just want to say bravo to that social media one. Man, because I work with middle schoolers, and you know, they're watching and they don't know. And so when we live these lives, they don't know. I mean, even with the entertainers, they don't realize it's just that entertainment. And so, yeah, when you living like that on social media, that I agree. I'm so glad you said that, especially for about women. So thank you.
And can I add to that as well? When he said that social media is who you want yourself, who you portray yourself to be, that's big because, like you said, you cultivate that narrative on social media. And if this is what you're cultivating and this is what you want the world to think that you are, that speaks volumes. So that's big.
And that could be why you're getting treated the way you're getting treated. Going back to question 1, because I'm watching how you carry yourself on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's real. That one's real. I think we see that a lot where you got women that tell you they want to be loved in one way, or you got women that say respect me for who I am, and then we don't see them respect themselves. And so they wondering why they're attracting a man that really just I want sex. Like you showed nothing but sex on here, and you want me to be the one to take you out, dine you out, treat you like you roses and gold, but you didn't treat yourself that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just being real, again, like that's how it is on there. If you're not gonna, so and I'm careful with that with social media because I coach. And so I see parents on there acting a fool, and I'm looking at it saying, like, dude, I gotta be an example as a parent too for my athletes because they mom on here acting a fool or they dad on here, acting crazy. So yeah, I think social media these days is big and can be a red flag.
Your wife
a man
said bullseye.
look
I would say a red flag is probably being materialistic. I feel everything, especially like the day and age we live in right now, everything is about what you have, like the designer who made it, how much it costs. Like I just feel like that is what everything is about right now, and it's so much more to a person than with the things that they have. You know what I mean? Like who is that person? Up under all of these materials. You know what I mean? So I think going along with branding, keeping up the image, on social media that correlates into, you gotta have a Gucci or you got this, you trade this life, but who are you without these things? So I think that's a big one for me.
Go ahead, B.
Real quick, I had to jump in on Aaron's because it made me think about like when I'm not telling women to lower their standard, no means when it comes to materialistic things, but you'll be shocked how many men that get intimidated by the materialistic things, like realizing, you know what, again, I don't have a job that can get you a Gucci bag all the time. You know what I mean? And sometimes you'll be shocked how many good men out there just won't talk to you because they like, especially with what's going on in the persona, you like, I can't afford her.
Mm-hmm.
She nice, but she on a different level, and it's crazy because sometimes that woman not even looking for a man to take care of her in that aspect of things. But you'll see a lot of men become intimidated by the fact that we don't have it sometimes.
I mean, to me, a red flag would be, and I ain't saying this to be joking, when somebody put some sugar in your tank, it's time to go. When they bust your windows out your car, that's a red flag. But to be honest, though, I work, like Shanita said, I work with a lot of younger people over the last few years, and I listen to them talk, and sometimes, I try to talk to certain people or whatever. But a red flag is when a man gets with a woman, if you put that man before your child, that's a red flag. You get off work and you going over to his house and your kids got to go to school in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on now. And then another red flag is if you cuss like a sailor. Everything that comes out of your mouth is a curse word. Now, I'm not saying that I got virgin ears or a virgin mouth. I'm just saying that a man don't want to hear a woman cussing all the time. Everything that she do, she got to be cussing and fussing. I don't want to live the rest of my life with somebody like that. Because, you know, as these brothers probably know, myself, you know, I tell people this all the time, Bo, you know, Pastor, I know Pastor, we want peace. When you come home, you want peace. We can have conversation, but the most peaceful thing that a man can have is peace at home, because we already go through enough in the world. So if I ain't got peace at home, where am I going to get it at? So I definitely don't want to be with no woman that ain't going to bring peace to the household.
I can't
even say anything. Go ahead. It's a lot.
Keep doing that.
This is good. This is good. Go ahead.
No, I'm like that. I'm kind of just like, drops mic. We need to cut the camera because it's hard to. I feel like this conversation is so good. We've got to have you all back. Because you guys bring such a, you know, sometimes I feel like society also portrays, there's this misconception that men can't come on and have these kind of collaborative conversations and exert their intellectualism, right? That it's not manly to do that. Like, it's like a womanly thing. And it's just like, no, men have a lot to say. We categorize based on gender too far. Like, I've constantly heard things like, oh, that's a woman thing. Oh, y'all gonna go do that little woman thing. That's not, no. And that's, oh no, we men, we don't do that. That it's like, well, I mean, we're not asking you to put pantyhose on. We just saying, come on, get on the screen and let's have a conversation, you know? So I think that this is really enlightening and insightful. And ladies, we've got like 2 more questions, or maybe we'll just do one more. Alrighty. So I want to ask for some advice. We normally end on tips, and this wasn't, I know, a part 3, Anna, I agree. We were not going to end on tips because you guys give so much, but I really feel like it would be valuable for the viewers to get kind of a final piece of advice from you all on relationships. So the question is, what's one piece of advice that you have for people, our audience, the viewers, about relationships just in general?
Me personally, you know, like I said, I did a lot of things at a younger age. And for the men, you know, for men, when you get with the woman that you want to be with and she's a good woman and everything, you know, instead of having kids everywhere, you know, and trying to be a father from the outside, it's totally different than raising a child up from the inside. I've experienced that myself, and you know, it's just no comparison to it, because as a man, you know, we want to have a voice, but if your voice is coming from the outside, your voice is not as effective as it is from the inside. And so therefore, you know, we gotta, you know, quit shucking and jive, and if you're gonna do it, and be for real with yourself. You know, be real with yourself. And if you ain't real with yourself, you really ain't gonna be real to nobody else.
I think my biggest piece of advice, and it was something that Corwin touched on earlier, but has been like making just a complete difference in, you know, my mentality, is hanging or being around like-minded people. So if you in a relationship, you should hang out with people who are in a relationship, because it's going to encourage you to do good things. It's going to encourage you to, you know, be around the right people. You know, I think that's my biggest advice, because you be in a relationship and you hanging around, you know, 3-4 your single guys, your Friday night and his Friday night gonna look two completely different ways. You know what I mean? So I think that's big right now, just being around other, you know, people who are like-minded.
Man, they both hit it. They both hit it, definitely. I think especially being in a you know, young and married, Aaron definitely hit that. Like definitely being around people that's like-minded. And then I think for me,
Yes, Sister Jefferson.
love somebody you like that can be your best friend. I think that I think that's been the easiest part of my relationship is that my wife was my friend first. And so we still just enjoy each other on so many ways. We still laugh, and we didn't turn our marriage into a business where everything is now so uptight and thinking about all the crazy sides of it more than like, I mean, we still that's still my homie. So just be with somebody, because I mean, your best friends, you can be with them forever and kick it with them. But for me, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, for me, like my wife is my best friend. So we able to always kick it, laugh, joke, and just talk about a little bit of everything.
B, you want to hit these comments or you want me to take them?
Go for it.
All right, co-pastor is on the line. Hey, co-pastor. She said, gentlemen, we have to be real. Anna said, although everyone's relationship is different, however, relationships aren't always going to feel good. It's not always going to be cute and Disneyland magic. God will allow uncomfortable situations as tests. It's how y'all handle it. Will you handle those situations with intention and love? And Elder Gino, hey, Elder Gino is on the line. He said, you both have to be open-minded. And y'all are killing it tonight. I am here for every bit of this. Come on, comments.
Wow. I think, was that it, ladies? Yeah, I think this was just an amazing show. We thank the gentlemen for joining us today for our word of mouth. Thank you. And because of the response, we definitely do have to do a part 3, especially to hear the perspective of these awesome men. And a lot of young men and young women need to hear this because we don't know. And one of the things that we can't do as women, we can't speak for men. And so how do we know unless we hear it from the voice of men? So we just want to say thank you for giving us your perspective, wisdom, and I hope that the viewers have taken this. And with that being said, if you would like to know more about who we are and where we get our information from, we would like to invite you to True Light, if we can put up the address, True Light International Ministry. That is at 1257 North Klein in Griffith, Indiana, where our Pastor Scott Jefferson, teaches an amazing word alongside his wife, Yvonne Jefferson. They preach an amazing word. And if you want to hear more about us, we are always available if you're in the Northwest Indiana area or if you're in the Chicagoland area. Please join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. sharp. We are live in person and also live on Facebook. But prior to that, if you need to, we also do 10:30 prayer every Sunday morning. So if you want us to come in before then, we do 10:30 morning prayer. And also along with that, we do have our Wednesday night service that is at 7 p.m. sharp in person. This is where you'll get an in-depth teaching of the Word of God outside of just that Sunday morning service. This is where you actually get the meat of our word. So we definitely want you all to tune in. And please, like we always say in the beginning, please share. We're on Facebook and we're also on Instagram. And so with that being said, can everybody close their eyes? Because we're going to pray our way out. Father God, we just want to say thank you, Lord, for tonight's word, God. We thank you that men and women can understand who they are as individuals and their purpose, God. You brought us together to be one, God. But in order for us to be one, God, let us know who we are as people to be whole, Lord. We thank you for the viewers, God. We thank you for our pastor and our co-pastor for long life, good health, and success, Father God. We also thank you for the viewers for long life and good health, Lord. We plead the blood for our viewers right now, God. We understand the world that we're in right now. And more than importantly, we need your covering, God. So we ask you right now to cover the people today, cover them throughout the airwaves, Lord. And we thank you again. And until we meet again, amen.
Amen.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you all for having us.
Bye, family.